Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jordan from PictureMonk.com, and welcome to this week's podcast. I'm going to let you guys in a little secret. This is probably going to be the second time that I've recorded this exact same podcast. I'm actually trying a brand new podcast software. It's just basically an audio software. And I didn't really test it out. It looked like a very simple interface, and I threw in the music and started recording. But apparently there are two big red buttons that do two different things, and apparently I pressed the wrong red button. And so the first one I talked the whole way through, and it recorded 0. The only thing it actually recorded was like a feedback noise, and so I don't know what that was from. And so yeah, I have no idea what happened. So this is the second time I'm recording this podcast, so I don't know if I'm going to be as enthused as the first one was, but we do have a kind of a cool topic. But before we get started, I want to go over the news that I found, and I haven't done that in a couple weeks here, but I only have one thing that really stood out. I watched another thing, but I couldn't pull everything together before I tried to record the podcast a couple times. But the first thing I want to talk about, or the only thing I want to talk about, is Trigger Trap. If you guys have heard me, one of the earlier podcasts, I actually recommended the Trigger Trap, which is it's a dongle that goes on your camera, that plugs into your camera, and then you plug it into your phone. Download the Trigger Trap app, and you can do a whole bunch of cool stuff like time lapses, sound activated photography, where, you know, if you get a clap of something, it'll take a picture automatically, just stuff like that, just fun stuff. And I've actually used it a couple times, and I really do enjoy it. And the reason I'm bringing them up is because the company Trigger Trap is dead. As of I believe it's earlier this week or early last week, the company is kind of bankrupt. And so I found that article and I read it a little bit. The article on Petapixel, I'm going to link to it in the show notes. The article is actually RIP, rest in peace, Trigger Trap pioneer to close shop after Kickstarter fail. So basically what happened was there was a new Neo trigger that he wanted to come out, and he went on to Kickstarter and try to raise a bunch of funds, and they hit their goal. They hit well over their goal. But the amount of funding wasn't enough to get the product into the hands of the consumer. And that's kind of why I never even look at Kickstarter campaigns, just because more often than not, that's what you hear about is people donating money to the company, and they don't get anything back. They don't get their money back. They don't even get a product. And so I just kind of find that a little weary. So but if you do have a Trigger Trap, I believe it's actually still works. The app, I don't know if they're going to discontinue the app, but from what I've read, as long as you have the app and you have it downloaded, then you should be able to be fine. It's not like it's going to be automatically removed from your phone. So I plan on keeping that, just because I do like the actual original dongle that they had, and it was just, all it was a cord, and it had like a little something on the cord, a little black piece, where that's where the brains of it were. And so I have it in my camera bag, and I really like it. So I just thought that was a kind of a sad thing, because I do like the Trigger Trap. So a little bit unfortunate, but that's something that really stuck out to me this week as far as news. All right, so this week's topic, if you haven't already read the title of it, this week's topic are my 5 favorite things about Lightroom. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I do work part-time for another photography channel. And so I've been tasked with writing a book about Lightroom, and that's a slow process. It's getting there. But when doing the Lightroom book, it's become kind of a reawakening for me. I've been able to find a whole bunch of stuff in Lightroom that I really, really enjoy. And ever since I've started writing this and putting stuff together for the book, I've been really pleased with what I've found that I didn't even know were there in Lightroom. So, I mean, some of the stuff is pretty simple, but a lot of stuff I haven't even paid attention to. So, I've kind of feel like I've almost downloaded a brand new piece of editing software. And so let's go ahead and get into it. The first one is Smart Collections. I believe people have talked about this before. They're in Lightroom. There are collections, then there's Smart Collections, and then there's Quick Collections. And so Regular collections are basically what they are. They're just a group of photos. You put in the group of photos that you want, and it's kind of like a folder of sorts in Lightroom that you can store things in. You can create a collection, make it organized pretty well. But smart collections are kind of dynamic collections, which if you they're based off rules. So if you have something in Lightroom and maybe you have a rule set, which is what I have one set now. Maybe you have a rule set to where you want to put all your 5-star photos in a collection together. You can do that. As soon as you rate it 5 stars, it automatically goes into that collection, and then you're done. And then you can pull it up and see all your 5-star photos. That's actually a smart collection that's built into Lightroom already, but I took it one step further, and I have a smart collection set for all my 5-star photos that are taken in 2017. So for the rest of the year, I'm going to take photos, and if I know it's a really awesome photo and I want to make sure I keep it for later on, I'm going to 5-star it, and it's automatically going to go into this new collection, and that will allow me to have better access, have a better chance of finding all my fun photos that I really like at the end of the year to put in my book. And so I'm not sure, just a sidetrack note, if you guys haven't followed me on Instagram, go over there on Instagram at JordyNyounce, JordyNyounce, and you can see I had a couple books made for best of 2015 photos and 16 photos. And so this is kind of where that kind of came about there. So smart collections, I'm really falling in love with them. I get to find a whole bunch of other stuff. You can set all kinds of rules. You can go crazy on it. But I just did date and rating. All right, so one of my next favorite features is the camera calibration module in Lightroom. I've never really paid attention with it. I didn't even really know what it was about, to tell you the truth. I just knew that had something to do with cameras and calibration. But I never paid attention to it. And when I started drilling deep into it and started playing with it a lot more, it is a fantastic tool for color grading. You can definitely do a lot of color grading. You can really enhance your photos just using color alone. And so I actually have a video coming out that I just finished recording that is it's kind of a cinematic effect, but it's kind of a color grading cinematic effect video, how-to video. But it goes along with my Mimic series where I give away the free preset. I'm giving away a free preset on this one as well. But I mainly play with the camera calibration module and then go into my basics module and finish it up a little bit, and then it's done. And so you can definitely tell the amazing difference that you get just by playing with those different colors. You can play with colors and the hue, saturation, and luminance, the HSL panel, but camera calibration really does a fantastic job. So look for that video going out on YouTube probably this week, and it'll kind of give you a glimpse of what I'm talking about. So the other one of my other favorite features is the reference view. Reference view is kind of a new one in Adobe CC, Adobe Lightroom CC. It's kind of hidden down there with your before and after look in a Lightroom. And what it does is allow you to pull up a photo, and it allows you to reference another photo if you like the editing, which really works well for my little Mimic series videos. But if, let's say, you're editing a bunch of photos at once and you want them all to have a very similar look, you can pull up the photo that you're editing and then drag in the photo that's already edited, and that photo will stay there no matter how many photos you scroll past, and you can kind of see exactly what you've done as far as the highlights, saturation, all that kind of stuff. And you can kind of copy the kind of editing style. So it's kind of a cool little thing. I'm glad they added it. It's not a huge feature, but I'm glad they added it. All right, so my next favorite one is actually you guys are probably gonna laugh at me on this one, but it's the F key on your keyboard. I've never really played around with using full screen to show my photos off, and so what I'll do is we all open Lightroom and we have it that barely big enough photo in the middle, and you see us zooming in a bunch of times just trying to see some detail. The photo in the middle is it never really gets a little larger. It's always that static view. But as soon as you hit the F key, you get full screen. And so I've found a new appreciation of that because it loads the high resolution copy of your photo, and you can really appreciate it, because there's a lot of times when I'm in Lightroom and I'm looking around and I'll pull up some photos and I'll edit them and I'll be like, I don't know, it just looks weird. But that's because honestly, I have smart previews enabled, and so it doesn't give me the full quality when I'm editing it. So I always think all my photos look bad, like I shot them wrong, or they're blurry, or they're not sharp or something. But as soon as you hit F key and you load the full resolution file, you can definitely tell a difference, and it kind of makes me like my photos a little more. And so that kind of leads me in a little bit to my next one, and one of my last favorite features that I found that I've been using a lot is the lock to second monitor feature. This one's been in there for quite a while, but I've had a second monitor on my computer for years and years and years, and I've never played with this. And so what you will do is you'll go into your Lightroom, right click. This is only if you have a second monitor, duh. But you'll right click on the photo, and there'll be a feature there that says lock to second monitor or lock to second screen. You'll click that, and it'll open up a full size preview on your second screen. It'll be a whole other Lightroom window, and it'll be there, and you can check it out, and it updates real time when you're editing stuff. But another feature for that is you can actually look at your Lightroom catalog, a full screen of your Lightroom catalog while you're still editing. So it's kind of like a huge editing suite that you got going on, and I've found that a lot better. I've actually have that feature enabled on my Lightroom all the time. So as soon as I hop into Lightroom, both screens light up with Lightroom stuff, and I can just keep editing, and it's just one of my favorite features. So if you do have a second screen, that's a definite feature I would recommend you guys using. So that's it for my favorite 5 features. I hope you guys enjoyed those quick little tips. I told you this podcast wasn't going to be that long. But let's go and get into the widget of the week. And the widget of the week kind of piggybacks a little bit off of my podcast from last time talking about the drones. There's actually an app that I downloaded, and I know this is the second podcast in a row that I'm talking about apps, just because I've kind of searched for a lot of them, I guess. But there's an app called Hover. If you guys haven't checked that out, if you have a drone or if you're planning on getting one, the app is called Hover, and it kind of gives you I'm looking at it right now. It kind of gives you a real-time view of what your weather is like going on in your area, but it tells you if it's okay to fly. And so what I have when I open the app, I get my location, and at the top it says ready to fly, meaning that you're good to go. You can you don't have anything that's inhibiting you from flying, like high winds and stuff like that. And if you do have high winds, and it'll tell you exactly how high the winds are, how speedy the winds are, and then it might give you an advisory of that. But it's a really good app. I really enjoy it. It gives you the weather, it gives you all that fun stuff. It gives you everything a weather app would be, your sunrise, sunset, all that fun stuff. So it's a really, really, really good app. I really enjoy it. I check it every time before I pull my drone out and go see if it's good to fly, because it's location based. It gets your, wherever you are, it lets you know if you're good to go. So really cool app if you're into drones, or if you're into any other kind of photography. It really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to do exactly with drones. But it'll definitely help you with your drone photography. So thank you guys for joining me in this video. Sorry I had to kind of rush through it a little bit. I just did not want to spend an hour and a half recording the same podcast over and over and over. So thank you guys for joining me in this video. Make sure you check on YouTube for the video coming up if you want a fun little Lightroom preset to play around with. This has been Jordan from PictureMonk.com, and I'll catch you guys in the next podcast.